So I saw Trap last Sunday, and I was really excited for this movie. I thought the concept sounded really interesting, and I'm a big fan of M. Night Shyamalan. Now he can be very hit or miss. I don't think he's the strongest storyteller in the world. I think sometimes when he writes his own movies, his execution isn't always the greatest. But he's also made some movies that I love, like Split, Unbreakable, and Success, which is still my top three favorite movies of his. So, but I was really excited, like I said, for the concept. So when it comes to the positives with this movie, I think Josh Hart is the best in of this movie. I think he gives a great performance showing the different sides of the character, the fun, goofy dad, the intense side of the character, the anger from the character, the creepiness of the character. Like he does a great job of showing all the different angles and sides of the character, and he gives a great performance. And I've always been a fan of Josh Hart. He's one of those actors to me that I'm glad to see he got a lead role in this, and he was in Oppenheimer before this. And before they kind of didn't see him in much, but he's always been one of those actors that I've really always liked. And I hope after this he gets more lead roles. Because I think Josh Hartnett is just a great actor. And I think the girl who plays his character's daughter, I think she does a great job in this too. I think she gives a great performance. And I like the fact that she would call him out when he would disappear and ask him, why you acting so weird? She's the only one in this movie. I'll get into one of my negatives. With why like when it comes to how people act in this movie with the unnatural dialogue, but she's the only one in the movie that I feel like acts like a real person. Like the way she talks and the stuff she says about why he's disappearing and acting so weird. She's the only one in the movie I was like, she feels like a real character, like somebody who would exist in the real world. So I think she's great in it. The negatives with this movie, and I just kind of said it, was one of the negatives being that this movie has very unnatural dialogue. M. Night Shyamalan in his movies, not all of them, but in a lot of his movies, he would like his characters would have dialogue that would come off like alien like they wouldn't come off like this is how people would talk in the real world. And I noticed that to be a pattern with him in his movies. Not all of them, but in most of his movies, he has this very like unnatural dialogue he would write. And I'll just be like, yeah, people don't talk like that or say that in the real world. And then he also tries to have this quirky sense of humor in his movies. And M. Night Shyamalan to me is like Michael Bay for me personally, where like their style of humor a lot of times doesn't work for me. There's moments in this movie he was trying to have this quirky, goofy sense of humor, and M. Night Shyamalan I just don't think is a very funny guy when he tries humor in his movies. Like I would say, Signs probably did the best when it came to his weird sense of humor. But in most of his other movies, and I don't love Signs. I think overall it's a solid, good movie, but I think it's a little overrated. And the humor doesn't always work in that movie for me, but I think that movie does the best job with his quirky sense of humor. In this movie and his other movies, I'm like, you're just not a funny guy, in my opinion, in my style on. So his style of humor doesn't particularly work for me a lot of times. Like The Visit was a movie where just like his goofy style of humor just doesn't personally land for me. But yeah, it has like moments of quirky sense of humor that doesn't work for me. There's this whole subplot with Josh Hartnett's daughter, who something happened between her and some other kid at school. They don't really go into it, and it feels like by the end of the movie, you don't get a payoff for that, and I don't understand what the point of that subplot with side story was. And this is a great example of what I mean by unnatural dialogue. When you have the scenes where Josh Hartnett is talking to this mom of this other kid, she comes off like a psycho to me, and I'm like, she's like talking like this is like I said, she comes off like a psycho, and it's just the stuff she would say. I'd be like I said earlier, people don't talk like this. And as much as I think Josh Hartnett does a great job in this movie, I do think some of the writing hurts him, where he's trying to pretend to be normal around people. And it reminded me of Dexter. If you ever seen the Dexter show, this is one of my favorite shows. That had the same that had the same idea, where you have the main character who's a killer, and when he's around work, family members, friends, he's pretending to act like a normal human person. And Josh Hartnett's character is trying to do that too. But Dexter to me did a much better job at that. When you watch Dexter and you see Dexter trying to act human because he feels inhuman because he's a serial killer, he does a great job pretending, but you buy into it. there's moments in this movie with Joss on his character where he's trying to pretend to be normal around people, even the scenes where he's talking to that mom, where I'm just like, it doesn't like come to me. He doesn't do a very good job, and it's not him; it's the writing. Where I feel like the writing, and that's why I meant by the writing hurts him a little bit for me. Where it's just like there's moments in this movie where he's like the writing's trying to make him like look like trying to have him pretend to be a normal person. I feel like the directing from M. Night Shyamalan hosts his performance a little in this movie, where I'm like, I'm not buying completely into it all the time because I feel like a lot of people, the way he acts in this movie, I just don't think he does a very like his character doesn't do a very good job at times pretending to be a normal person, like a human being. So the writing there to me hurt the character a little bit. And there's times where I feel like his character is really smart and he just slithers his way through. There's other times where I feel like they made him kind of dumb. And there's just so many times we have to suspend your disbelief in this movie. Like you see the scene in the trailer where he goes to the bathroom. It's a crowded bathroom. He has his phone. He's watching a video of some guy he's held captured in a house, and he has the volume up, and nobody heard that. And you see in the scene in the movie, the bathroom's like crowded with people. There's like a scene where he goes like downstairs at the concert, and he snags a police name tag at some point in the movie. He puts it on, and you see the SWAT team down there in a circle talking about the plan, and he's the only civilian down there. And I understand in the movie they let the police working at the concert know what's going on, but he goes to the spot where the coffee is, and you see one of the SWAT team members come over there asking for the sugar. And I understand he has a police name tag, but he's the only civilian down there, and the cops to me look like idiots in this movie, but they don't like ask him like, "Can we check your credentials? What are you doing down here?" And they showed throughout the movie they're stealing people from the audience, and they also state in this movie they have a description of the killer in this movie, and they don't question this random guy who just comes down here. He's the only civilian down there. Like that to me, just the cops look like complete morons in this movie to me. And to me, again, it's like this movie's asking you to suspend your disbelief so much, and it just continues to do it throughout the movie. And examples like those two, like I give, like a scene where they're at the concert, and you see this trap door opening, and he's staring at it, and it's open for like a couple of minutes there. I haven't been to really too many like at all concerts, so I don't know. Like to me, that seems a little unrealistic having a trap door at the next to the down there where you have the people and you have the trap door like right in between the people. I feel like that's a little unrealistic. Now let me know in the comments because I've never been to a concert all that much. Like I've been to one concert, but I haven't been to like a big concert like that. So let me know in the comments is that what they would put the trap door to have it between the customers on the floor? Like I feel like that's the one mistake, and they leave it open there for a couple of minutes. But I thought it was like okay. There's a scene when he pushes down a girl you see in a trailer down the steps, and you see everybody walking around. And you tell me nobody saw that. There's a scene when he's like staring at a fire alarm for a couple of minutes, and nobody's like wondering why is this guy just standing there staring at the fire alarm for a couple of minutes. And this movie needed to be shorter. I think you could have trimmed 10 to 15 minutes out of this movie. And then the third act becomes completely a gigantic mess. Like the first two acts were fine, but the third act, it just becomes so ridiculous. Like he decides to tell the singer Lady Raven, and I didn't get into this. This isn't a negative habit of the movie. M. Night Shyamalan, I understand. I totally get wanting to like promote your daughter. The actress who plays Lady Raven in this movie is his daughter. Which I'll probably do the same I'll probably do the same thing if I had my own kid. But half this movie feels like it's just this movie was made just to promote his daughter. And he even plays Lady Raven's uncle in this, where you see is in a scene. I also thought that was weird, that like dialogue there where he just happens to tell him my daughter has leukemia or something like that, and I'm just like, he just like happens to tell her that to get them on the backstage because he's trying to fight his way out, and he doesn't think, okay, thanks, like tell some random random person that to it was a trick obviously to get on the backstage, but I thought Emma Stone like isn't really a very good actor in my personal opinion, but this is some of the dialogue like I said just sounds like just real unnatural, and I just thought it was weird that his character just didn't like think that was weird that this random person just told me his daughter has leukemia. Again, he's it's obviously not true. He's making that up to get him and his daughter on the backstage to try to get out of there. But half the movie feels like it's him trying to promote his daughter. Half the movie also feels like it's trying to be a constant film with this because there's scenes where the songs go on for longer than I personally think they should. But it feels like you're getting full length songs. Again, this half of this movie seriously feels like it's just trying to promote his daughter. And they were like, we had to put a plot around this. And when it gets to the third act and she becomes the main character in the third act, so it switches the point of view because Josh Hartnett's character decides to tell her he's the killer. Which I thought made him look dumb. I don't understand what was the point of that. Like I understand the SWAT team were blocking the door, the exit, but I don't feel like it was necessary for him to tell at that point. And then I also find it kind of weird that when he takes her to when he says, "I need to talk to you in a private room," and she knows about the this is all set up to catch the Buster killer. They show that in the movie that there's like a scene when she's talking to the SWAT police and this lady in charge of operation. So she's in on like the police, but I don't understand the thinking. But this is one of the other issues I had was that she agrees to take him to the room privately when you don't know this person and this whole thing is a trap for a serial killer. I thought that was a weird decision. And again, it makes Josh Hart look kind of dumb. The fact he would just tell outright he's the serial killer. I understand the SWAT team, like I said, were blocking the exit door, but I didn't feel like it was like he had to do that to get out. And then she takes him to the limo, and I thought it was also weird she didn't have like any security with her. And he's like telling her, okay, just drop us off here at this point. And then she decides, okay, let's go. She talks to his daughter saying, "I'd love to go see your house." And I don't understand what her plan was. Like it just felt like I understand she's trying to be a hero, but I don't understand why she just like dropped them off and then just call the police right away and let them know that she knows who it is, the killer. Like I don't understand the whole plan of her like going to the house. It just felt to me kind of like she just didn't have a plan. So she goes to the house and she's like playing the piano and she does like a live stream on she goes to the bathroom. I remember she took Josh Hartnett's phone, I believe, when she's at the piano. Or his daughter's phone, I can't remember what's but she's doing like a live stream on the phone about the guy who's captured. And Josh Hartnett's like knocking on the door. I don't understand why he didn't just kick the door down. Like he just constantly knocking on it. I'm like, this is a big guy. I'm like, I don't understand why he just like break the door down. I understand he's not trying to show he's his like angry side in front of his family, but at that point, she has a phone and she's literally about to call the cops and everything. Like to me at that point, the guy's always screwed. I don't understand why he just wouldn't break the door down. You can only tell with the noise in the background that his family is like thinking something's weird with him yelling and knocking on the door, telling her to get out. And then like that scene, she opens the door after she sent out the live stream to go help that guy who's captured. Let me say this: she can't act, in my opinion. She's a good singer. The pop music I thought was fine, and this is not really my type of music. But I'll say this: she's a good performer and singer. but she cannot act. Like, no offense to him, my star and my son-in-law's daughter, but I just don't think she's very good acting wise in this movie. But he takes her to the car, and I think he has his family upstairs somewhere in a room or something. And all of a sudden, she starts sounding like Josh Hartnett's mom, which to me is the whipping off Friday the 13th, the whole mommy issues, which was weird in the third act that just came out of like they don't set that up in the first two acts. And also, how did she know about it? I guess the police just happened to tell her that detail about the killer, but like you don't see a scene where the police told her that the killer has mommy issues. But she starts sounding like she does the whole Jason thing from like Friday the 13th, where she's trying to sound like Josh Hartnett's supposed to kill trying to sound like his mom. And look, when he gets like the scenes where he gets angry and stuff like that, I think he does. Like I said, he gives a very good performance. But then you see his family outside when he's opening the garage door. And there's just scenes in the third act that just to me is stupid. Like there's times where there's like a scene where he's like in a limo and he has her, and she's like calling a crowd over the limo, and I felt like he just like teleported or something like that, where he just like is like outside of the limo in that scene, and he's like away from the limo. I'm like, what the like? It felt like he just teleported or something like that. Like the way it's like cut together there, and then like there's like scenes where he goes back to the house, which I don't understand why he would do that at that point. It makes no sense to me. Again, it makes him kind of look dumb in my opinion as this serial killer. And you find out it's not really a twist, but the whole reveal that his wife set up the trap was the whole contrived reason I thought was stupid. When it's just like she found one of the houses he was using that he would say he would go there to think. She was thinking originally he was having an affair, and she found like I can't remember exactly, but it was like receipts for like an old concert. So she had like the whole idea of setting him up at a concert. Which I have some issues with that idea because why didn't she just call the police if she suspected he was the killer? You can even make a non-phone call instead of doing this whole contrived reason of using like old receipts for a concert and setting a trap up at a concert for millions of people, which would make it harder to find a serial killer. Also, you put your own daughter in danger. Like, if you suspected this guy is a serial killer and you set a trap where you haven't taken your daughter, she could have gotten hurt. So that to me kind of made no sense either. Like this whole contrived way of like that reveal, I thought was stupid. And it just she could have just called the police, an anonymous phone call, when she suspected he was the killer instead of using old receipts for a concert. And in my opinion, you kind of put your daughter in danger there. So there's some logic stuff there where I'm like, this is just such stupid writing. Then a scene where I think he gives a good performance in the scene, Josh Sarno, where he's giving us a tense performance. He's sitting down and having this conversation, him realizing the stuff that gave it away and how his wife found out, and she just says, "Let's have a piece of pie." And I don't understand why he would stop to eat a piece of pie when he's about ready to kill. Like I don't understand why host saying let's have a piece of pie is the thing. Let's have Waddy's last piece of pie is the thing that makes him all of a sudden stop not to kill her. I don't get that, and just seems kind of ridiculous to me. And he eats the piece of pie, and she puts something in the pie. I guess the stuff he used when he caught his victims. And the guy who was captured on the video earlier in the movie, he does get saved. But the fact that again, this made him look stupid to me, where he just eats the piece of pie that she decides to give him and doesn't like check to see if there's something in there. Again, he looks kind of like a dumb killer to me in that moment. And that's what I mean. There's times where he looks like he's really smart, and other times where I don't think he's the brightest in the world when it comes to serial killers. Like I watched a show like Dexter, and in Dexter he's always trying to like outsmart the police because he works at a police station. But in that show, he feels like he's really smart. That character, Josh Hartnett's character in this, feels like at times the writing makes him look stupid. So that to me was a dumb moment. And also finding kind of weird, the SWAT is waiting in the house, and they wouldn't just like go. They wouldn't like attack him right away when when they figured he was the killer. Why they would wait? It also made no sense why she stayed in the house because you figure he's gonna come back probably to kill you. So stuff like that, and then you see him when he's having a visit with his mom. Was again that whole plot line I felt like was just kind of like again a Friday the 13th whip off. And then they handcuff him to get him out of the house. And they hit earlier in the movie he has OCD. So there's a so the bike, he puts the bike up. This I thought was also what made the police look stupid, is that they just let him go over to the bike to push the bike up. They don't check if he took something from the bike, which he uses at the end of the movie to escape the handcuffs. Like they just let him walk over there and then didn't check to see if he took anything from the bike. And you have you have the daughter who goes and hugs him, which I thought was really the police didn't like take up like stop her or like take her from her dad there because he's literally a killer who's gone around and killed like 12 people or something like that, and it's kind of like they didn't take her away from him or anything like that. And also, they don't like she doesn't say anything to her dad when she goes and hugs him when he's being handcuffed away. She hugs him, runs off to her mom, and that's the thing I also wasn't a fan of is that like I wanted to see her say something to her dad when he's being handcuffed away, but she says she doesn't say anything to him. She just hugs him and then runs off to the house without saying anything, which I thought was a weird writing choice there. And then they saw him in the truck, and he realized he took a piece something from the bike that he used to escape the handcuffs, and obviously it's left open. And this is another instance of suspension of disbelief early in the movie with that employee that you see in the trailer who's telling him about why the police are all around and swatting around that this is all a trap for a killer. There's a moment early in the movie, forgot about this, where they're at the concession to pick up Batista, and Josh Hartnett's character's daughter, she wanted to sit, but this other kid did. Josh Hartnett's character tells her, just let her have that sit. And the employee goes, hey, come back later, I'll give your daughter a sit. So when he comes back later, he decides to take him downstairs. He doesn't tell him, like, okay, wait at the door, I'll come and grab a sit. No, he takes him with him. This random person, when anybody could be the killer, he takes him with him to grab the suit with him down there. He doesn't tell him to wait at the door. I'll come out. I'll be right out. Like, that to me is just also like, just again, suspending disbelief is just a little too much in this movie a lot of times. But I feel like the logic and just stuff like that is what really annoys me about this movie. But the way it ends, like I said, is that he escapes the handcuffs and there's zooms on his face. There is a mid-credit scene with that pulley, that black guy, that pulley, where he realizes he's watching the TV and he realizes he helped the guy who was the killer. I didn't think that was very funny. So overall, yeah, just Trap to me was just a gigantic miss in my opinion. Again, I think Charles Sonic gives a great performance. I think he does a great job with the intense moments. But I think the writing in this movie is just not very good. I think the whole side story with Josh Hartnett's character's daughter with the other kid that felt like it went nowhere. The actress who played Lady Raven, Emma Stone's daughter, I don't think she's a very good actress, and I think the whole third act is just sloppily written and put together. And the first two acts, I don't think are very good either. I think they're like fine, but I to me, this felt like to me like this is a concept you could have made a great movie of. You could have made a really fun, great movie with this concept. But M. Night Shyamalan, I feel like the script for this movie needed another draft. Like you needed, like it just felt like an early draft for this movie where they just didn't get everything fine tuned. So overall, I can't recommend Trap personally. I don't think this movie was very good, and this is one of my least favorite M. Night Shyamalan movies. And he's definitely on a miss hit track record again right now. I'm just like the last movie I loved of his was Split, and I feel like he's just Like, he needs somebody else to write his own scripts for his movies, personally. But that's my thoughts on Chap. Until next time, movie fans.